To those who don't travel very often, the Courtyard Marriott might seem like a decent enough hotel. It's clean, sure, and the staff is polite. I wouldn't give you 2 cents for its pillows, though, and the tubs are far too shallow for my tastes. In the deserted lobby of the one I stayed at not long ago in New Hampshire, there was a coffee bar, not a Starbucks, but a place that proudly served Starbucks and sold it alongside breakfast cereals and prepackaged sandwiches. I noticed it on my way back from lunch, and just as I decided to get a cup of coffee, someone came around the corner and moved in ahead of me. I'd later learned that her name was Mrs. Dunstan, a towering, dough-colored pyramid of a woman, wearing oversized glasses and a short-sleeved linen blazer. Beside her was a man I guessed to be her husband, and after looking at the menu board, she turned to him. "A latte," she said. "Now, is that the thing that Barbara likes to get? The one with whipped cream? Or is that called something else?" Oh, shit, I thought. "I can do a latte with whipped cream on top," the young woman behind the counter said. She was fair and wore her shoulder-length hair pushed behind her ears. Tiny moles were scattered like buckshot across her face, which was bare but for a bit of eyeliner. "I can do them with flavors, too." "Really?" Mrs. Dunstan said. "What sorts of flavors?" In the end, she settled on caramel. Then her husband squinted up at the board, deciding after a good long while that he'd try one of those mocha something or others, and could he get that iced? As I groaned into my palm, he wandered off. His wife, meanwhile, leaned her bulk against the counter and began her genial interrogation. "Are you from this area?" she asked. "No, from Vermont. Well, that's interesting. What brought you here?" I learned that the coffee person used to work at the town's other hotel, which had recently closed for remodeling. "So after it's done, will you stay put or go back over there?" Mrs. Dunstan asked. "Me, I have a son at the college, so that's what I'm doing, just checking in. He's my second boy, actually. The first one went here, too. He's not working in his field yet, but with unemployment as high as it is, he should be lucky to have anything at all. If I've told him that once, I've told him 100 times, but of course, being young, he's impatient, which is natural, wants to set the world on fire, and if it can't happen by tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., then life's just unfair and hardly worth living. What about you? Did you go to college?" After what felt like weeks, the young woman finished with the orders. 2 cups the size of waste paper baskets were placed upon the counter, and then Mr. Dunstan reappeared and pointed out the plate glass window toward a cluster of grim buildings on the other side of the parking lot. "What are those?" he asked. The young woman said they used to belong to the college. Of course, that was before they expanded the west side of the campus. "And when was that?" Mr. Dunstan asked. He was a good 10 years older than his wife, mid-70s maybe, and he wore a baseball cap with a tattered brim. "I beg your pardon?" the young woman said. "I said, when did they expand the west side of the campus? Was it recent, or did they do it a long time ago?" "Who the hell cares?" I wanted to shout. "What are you, the official historian of Who Gives a Damn College? Do you not notice that there's someone in line behind you? Someone who's been standing here rocking back and forth on his heel for the last 10 minutes while you and that brontosaurus run your stupid mouths about nothing?" I was this close to walking away, to marching off in a huff, but then Mrs. Dunstan would have turned to her husband and the girl behind the counter saying, "Some people." I'd gotten a similar reaction the previous morning when I'd squeezed past a couple standing side by side on the moving walkway connecting concourses A and B. "In a great big hurry to meet that heart attack," the man called after me. I wanted to remind him that this was an airport and that some of us had a tight connection if that was okay. But of course, I had no connection. I just couldn't bear to see him and his wife standing side by side, blocking the way of someone who might have a tight connection. The Dunstans' bill came to $8, which everyone agreed was a lot to pay for 2 cups of coffee. But they were large ones, and this was a vacation, sort of. Not like a trip to Florida, but certainly couldn't do that at the drop of a hat. especially with gas prices the way they are, and looking to go even higher. While talking, Mrs. Dunstan rummaged through her tremendous purse. Her wallet was eventually located, but then it seemed that the register was locked. So the best solution was to put the coffees on her bill. That's how I discovered her name and her room number. My only question then was what time I should arrange her wake-up call for. Let's see how chatty you feel at 4 a.m., I thought. Then it was all about returning the wallet to the purse and getting that all safely zipped up before picking her drink off the counter and starting in on her long goodbye. When the two of them finally lumbered off toward the elevator, I approached the counter, hoping the woman behind it would roll her eyes, acknowledging that something really needed to be done about people like the Dunstans. She didn't, though. So I decided I would hate her as much as I had hated them. When she told me that her little stand didn't serve regular brewed coffee, I hated her even more. I can do you a nice cappuccino, she said, or an iced latte, maybe? This last word was delivered to my back as I stormed out the door. Then it was up the street and around the corner to a real coffee place. The pierced and tattooed staff members scowled at my approach, and I placed my order, confident that they would hate the Dunstans as much or possibly even more than they already hated me.